Welcome to Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite.
Alrighty, let's get into some show sponsors. We want to thank DemonABiteSuits.com. Owner Chris Pell, super great guy. I think everyone at this table is a huge fan of Demon A Bite Suits. You can head over to their website, DemonABiteSuits.com. Use discount code DOGSHOW for 10% off your entire order. We also want to thank Whistle GPS collars. They're little, about quarter-size tags you put on your dog's flat collar, and if they were to ever go missing or kind of wander around the neighborhood, pull up your phone, hit their app, and you can see live tracking exactly where they are at. Use discount code DOGSHOW for $15 off your entire unit.
Hey, this is Eric from Working Dog Radio. We talk a lot about Dogtra. I mentioned it in a lot of different videos, and I can't stress enough how great our relationship is with Dogtra, how much I use them, what I get out of them. Again, we've been using Dogtra long before we became partners with them in this podcast. And so one of the biggest things that I focus on with Dogtra is their bark collars, and I'm a huge believer in it. I like my kennel to be quiet. On the pet side, bark collars do help with a lot of different things that we try to train the dogs in. And a lot of people don't know anything about bark collars. When I point them out to them to the Dogtra website, they're always surprised at how affordable they are. They think they're going to be a couple $100, and for a lot of people that's above their price point. But the Dogtra 600 is the main one I use. But now I started using their little IQ no bark collars for some of the smaller dogs in our pet side, and I tell you, we're having great results with them. We're offering a discount code WDR10 for any orders over $200 on Dogtra.com. Check them out.
Hey, it's Ted from Working Dog Radio. Also, one of the things that we deal a lot with at the kennel, at least I do, is having to go through a ton of toys. I'm either losing them or breaking them or something else, and it's always a pain in the ass. And Scott and I are constantly jumping back and forth, and forever we've been using a specific type of toy that I think everybody knows. The new guys that we brought on, US K9, is awesome. They use a natural rubber, and it's restringable, super soft, but doesn't get torn up very easily. And I've got some dogs that bite super fucking hard, and we've been able to use these things for the last, a couple weeks, and haven't had any issues with them. And they're giving free shipping on over $25. Go to their website, us-k9.com, and use K9 Pro, P-R-O, letter K, the number 9, at usa-k9.com. Get it hooked up.
Power up request received.
Program the computer.
Initiating systems. Powering of transmitters. Live from OLK9 Studios in Virginia, they tell it like they see it. They educated the not-so-educated, and you'll laugh your ass off. Introducing The Dog Show with Nick and Joe, a podcast with knowledgeable info, rants, and absolute randomness. You're listening to the sounds of uncensored honesty from two of the most respected dog trainers in the industry. Live on Facebook every Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. New episodes available for download every Saturday. The Dog Show with Nick and Joe. Download on iTunes, Google Play, and iHeartRadio.
Man, I am excited about this one. We are doing a joint episode today with the legendary Working Dog Radio. Welcome, guys. We got Eric, we have Alicia, we have Ted in the building. What's going on?
What up? How are you guys?
Doing well.
Living the dream.
Yeah.
I've been excited for this one for sure.
Yeah,
Right.
man. It's been a long time coming, and we got Nick White sitting across from me. How are you, sir?
Good. What's going on, guys?
Awesome, man. So we are finally sitting at a table together, and we're going to talk dogs.
It's been a long time coming.
Yes, it's definitely been a long time.
So what have you guys been up to? Anything? You guys are here for the HITS conference, yeah?
Yeah, we're here for HITS. We're going to do a whole bunch of stuff at Working Dog Radio there. Try some live broadcasts. We have a lot of people lined up to do some interviews. Signing autographs, all that type of stuff. Well, at least you'll be signing autographs for sure.
Nobody wants my
I'm
autograph.
hoping to sign a lot of chests.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, let's take our shirts off.
About that.
So that's going on until when?
Friday. And I think what we're going to do is what we did at Bravo 3. We're going to kind of snare some of the some of the presenters when they're not presenting, because they have like class schedules, so there's always 3 classes going on at once, and they've got what 35.
They got a lot.
They got a lot of fucking instructors, and every single one of these dudes or females is really, really good at what they're talking about. Like some of the best in the world. So it should be interesting. We're going to try and do like little 15-minute, like what they're talking about here or at the show. So so it'll be, you know, it should be informative. We'll upload it just like we did with Bravo 3. We'll just do like, you know, 3 days in a row, just upload. So should be interesting. And we're going to try to do some live video streaming too, which shit, it ends up, you mean, you guys know.
Oh yeah.
You can't go back and edit shit. So
absolutely.
We'll see.
Alicia, you keeping these guys in check this week, or is that a full-time job on its own?
It's like wrangling cats. Really, like if you ever put a cat on a leash, that's kind of how it is.
Yeah.
I'm very trainable. Ted's a mess.
Yeah.
I am a shit show.
I've heard Ted. He keeps his hair straight though. That's
amazing.
It's fucking impressive, man.
It's good genetics.
Make your bed every morning.
I commented that on his post the other day. He put up this video of him working a dog that got a lot of love, by the way. It was a very awesome video, short clip. And I said, Ted, how the fuck do you keep your hair perfect the entire time throughout every video? And he of course he said genetics.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I picture him doing breaks. Like he works the dog and he's like, all right, stop recording. Goes to the mirror.
There's a crew that comes out.
Do you have a makeup guy and a hair guy? Or?
They run out and they're like, hold still.
He calls it hair drive.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hashtag hair drive.
No, it's true. Like as you know, and you've probably seen, like ever since we became friends on Facebook, I've literally been a fan of Ted's work. Like anytime he posts a video, there's a 100% chance I'm gonna watch it, and that's rare for me because all I do is see dog videos nonstop. But I love the passion behind it. That's the big thing.
Well, and here's the deal: is I'm new into the working dog part of the industry. I don't profit off of it. I just have fun with it, right? So I watch a lot of the decoys, their videos on Facebook and on social media, and I try my best to learn, you know, with the little bit of knowledge that I know. And it seems to me, on your side of the industry, there is usually with the average decoy, there are a shit ton of people that really like them, but then there's a shit ton of people that really fucking hate them. One thing I've noticed about you guys is there's really not a whole lot of haters. Like everyone really, really respects your work. Now I know you have a few.
Right, yeah.
I know you have a few. Yeah. I know I've seen it.
Those were hard fucking won too.
I've seen it, but I would say for
in general,
yeah. Like you guys are very well respected in your industries. That's something to be very proud of, I would say.
Yeah, we were talking about this last night with some of the departments that are already here. I'm not going to mention them because we got fucking loaded. And I'm still kind of
recovering. Smell like Cuddy Sark and shame.
Like, you know, and I just kind of do. I guess I just kind of do what I do, and so does Eric, I think. And the way I kind of look at it is if people like it, they do. If they don't, they don't. I mean, when you spell hate backwards, it spells ita. And if they don't like it, they can eat a dick. I mean, there's so many people that are good decoys. And if they don't like me, they can go to fucking whoever. I don't care. I mean,
can I just say how long he's been waiting to use that on air?
I'm glad we could provide the platform and the setup.
Ita.
He's test drove that one on me about 75 times, and I'm like, yeah.
And she laughed every one of them. She's talking shit now, but she's
enjoyed
laughed.
it.
Oh yeah.
I think the thing for me where I don't get a lot of the negative stuff is most of the stuff that I show is me working with police dogs, and there's things like that, and people just like for the entertainment. I never, ever, ever put a question mark after I post something. I don't want your fucking opinion. I don't want it.
I respect that.
That's fair.
I put it up there to show something that was fun or goofy or whatever.
You're not asking for feedback.
I'm not asking for feedback, and if I get feedback, I delete it.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to fight with you. I had somebody somebody I know as a trainer was showing a video, and it was just showing this person walking a German Shepherd around, all kinds of weird environmentals. Not on a heel, definitely not on a heel, walking, jumping this and that. And people started messaging or making comments about it, and a friend of mine messaged me about it. Well, that dog looked terrible. I'm like, did they ask you your opinion? They weren't asking, hey, what do you think of this dog? Keep it to yourself.
Right.
Eric needs one of those shirts that says, like, Eric does not comment on people's Facebook videos.
I don't.
Be like Eric.
Right. Be like Eric. You'll rarely see me on there. Rarely. I let these two do all that fighting.
What's funny is JJ and I from Proven K9 literally like an hour ago was talking about this, and me and Alicia's talked about it, and I've said my general rule of thumb, and we were all laughing about this just like an hour ago. I was talking to Jay Baker too. He was on the phone and in the truck, and I was like, the general rule of thumb that I follow is if someone is like criticizing or giving you feedback in a public comment, they're not giving you feedback or wanting you to do better.
Yeah.
They're bashing. I'm like, and the exact example I'm sure you remember I used with Alicia, she does incredible muzzle work if you guys ever get a chance. Working Dog Dry Goods, workingdogdrygoods.com. I was like, the problem in the training world is some trainer, like the equivalent, would comment on one of Alicia's muzzles and be like, hey, that muzzle looks like shit. Clearly you use shitty paint. Clearly you put no time into doing that. And then when she blows up back, I'm like, whoa, I was just giving you some criticism. You know, like that. I'm like, that's not criticism.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, if I truly want to help her, I would message her and be like,
you're a jerk
hey,
off.
You're being a dick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hey, I really like a lot of the muzzle stuff you did, but try this paint and I think you'll see better results. It'll last longer, and see what you think about it. Like, that's trying to help. But when you comment, I've talked to you about it before. Yeah. Like one of your videos that like had the most comments, you know, with people talking shit about, you know, a dog that you were improving, and it's like no one comments publicly and bashes to try to help you. You know, like that's the general rule that I was telling Jay and JJ. It's like, if I want to help you, I'll say, hey Joe, next time you're in town, come to my ranch. I'll show you some e-collar stuff, you know, tighten up some of them heels. I'm not going to comment and say, hey, that heel looked like shit. My dog could do way better than that. And you know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
So I share your sentiments when it comes to that.
I get, like, I like to put some music with some of my videos every once in a while, just because I have a 16-year-old daughter, and she's always surprised at the songs that I actually know. And so I'll put some real hip stuff on there, some old school rap,
like Britney and stuff.
Yeah, of course. And somebody will get on there and comment, "Boo the music, boo, fuck you, fuck you."
I didn't do it for your entertainment.
Correct.
Pleasure.
Delete.
Yeah.
I don't leave those up there. You know, fuck off.
I don't mind the comments.
I think you like them.
I do, but I'll explain this. Like, the more comments that you get,
Engagement.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It
if
gets
you hate
fucking
my
annoying
shit.
though, right?
No.
I mean, I stay completely
No.
out of it as well.
It
But
doesn't matter.
I get annoyed. Like when I see trainers going back, because you know anybody can be a fucking master trainer expert on Facebook. You know what I mean?
I have the black belt at home.
Oh,
Yeah.
you do? Okay.
I don't know if you know
But-
that or not.
But to me, it's so. It takes away from what the overall goal and purpose is. You know what I mean? It's like, if this person doesn't necessarily do it your way, it doesn't make it the fucked up way.
No.
You know what I mean?
1,000 ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
Right.
1,000 ways.
And I don't know if it was you or somebody that we know that said it, but I fucking loved that line. Was at the end of the day, guys, it's not rocket science.
That was me.
Yeah,
That was me that said
we're
that,
just
yeah.
we're training dogs, right? This isn't
Yeah, I think I
quantum
remember seeing that.
physics.
Yeah.
We're
I think I remember seeing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, what trainers need to do is they need to step aside, and I'm like, literally my quote is, I'm like, all right, fucking Stephen Hawking, once you finish splitting the atom, your dog needs to go back into a
Oh,
sit.
God.
You know?
and
So-
not downplaying the ability of
Right.
of what
But
trainers
let's put it in
do,
perspective, yeah.
but I mean, it is. We're
And
training
you know,
dogs.
I and Alicia says it really well. You know, I'm not afraid to show the process, like, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I love.
I'll show like an unfinished detection dog, like going through the process, right? And people are like, "Oh, it's this or it's that." Every time we post it, some fuckhead gets on there and is like, "You need to do this." I'm like, "You need to suck a dick." And I don't say that. So when I read the comment, I'm like, I know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't need you to help me. And so I'm sitting there, but I'm not afraid to show the process. Like, I'm not afraid to show, you know, how a dog is imprinted, how I do it, or how I specifically
or
do
when
it.
the dog fucks up and it doesn't do a perfect focused response to the odor.
Yeah, or, you know, and I'm like, Like, because there's a video that I posted one. First day we worked this big-ass Malinois named Spartan. And he went to a department in Arkansas. And I showed the first day he was on Dutch boxes, and I was in there by myself. And so I'm like dangling the ball in the Dutch box, and I pop it out to get him to kind of come in to sniff, and instead he just fucking hops over and then hops back over, and you see me stand there and I just kind of shake my head. I'm like, you motherfucker. So as you know, people see that and they're like, oh, this dog, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my God. So we train him up. He goes to his department. First week, fined 6 kilos of coke. Nice. And it wasn't a whisper stop. I mean, it wasn't like she just ran the dog just to run the dog. And dog hit, and I'm like, fuck you guys. So like, you can talk shit all you want, but my shit works. So
well, and that's what I think's funny. Like when you post a video like that, it'll have like 300 comments, and you know, but then you'll post like an epic, like flawless video, and it's like 3 comments and 1 like.
Yeah.
You know, it's like everyone has some shit to say when it's not flawless, and then when it is amazing, all those same people go away.
And then, you know, some people, and it's mainly the old dudes that haven't figured out how to use Facebook, and I don't mean Eric, but
what the fuck?
There's a lot of.
I think he actually did mean Eric.
There's a lot of guys, especially in our industry, that have been doing it a long time, and they're really good at what they do. And I mean like a long time. Like they got their first dog off the fucking Ark. So, but they don't use Facebook, and they don't need to, and then they run. You know, they talk a lot of noise about everybody that does. And it's like, well, look, you know, instead of, because I was never a cop, I was never in the military.
Right.
And, you know, people are like, well, you know, I've been a cop for fucking 700 years or whatever it is. I've trained 900,000 canines, blah, 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 right? So they try and let their paper resume be a substitute for work. And the way I kind of look at it is, rather than saying, yeah, I've been doing this for, you know, however many years or whatever it is, like, this is my visual resume. This is what I'm capable of. And I don't care if you like it or not. And, you know, when I run into people like that, I'm like, you had better be so fucking good that it stops me in my tracks. And when you say shit like that, people kind of are like, whoa. I'm like, so show me.
Yeah.
And because I'll learn from anybody. Like, I'll be a lifetime student. But sometimes I think people kind of fall back on that, and, you know, people get you know, they kind of get up in their feelings a little bit when you, and good work is good work. Like there are people that have sold that I can't stand that sell good dogs.
Yeah.
I can't stand them as a person, but I can't deny the fact that it's a good dog.
Put on a good product.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, you know, that's one reason why I do most of my stuff on Instagram. It's weird the difference in Instagram and Facebook. There's just so much less conflict on Instagram.
Agreed.
Yeah. It's very weird. I don't know. And I meet a ton of weird ass fuckers on Facebook who are like, I don't do Instagram. I'm like, good, you stay over here. But for me, it's different. I got to be very careful because I still work at a police department.
Sure.
And they monitor social media.
Yeah.
And especially they know that, you know, I have 16,500 followers on Instagram, which is a decent size account. Mm-hmm. And there's people watch that stuff. And the Police K9 Association, where I'm the training director for, we have 57,000 on Facebook and 58,000 on Instagram, and they watch that stuff. And I got to be real careful, you know, depending on, in some conversation where we talk about being a cop in Northeast Ohio and then I call someone a cunt, you know, that stuff comes back. It does come back to me.
Sure.
And I've had to write a lot of letters about social media. So I stay out of the fights. I'm there watching them. Right. I'm there watching them. You know, like she had this big, huge, epic pit bull fight just recently.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I did not read or look at any of it. None of it.
Pitbull-mageddon.
Yeah, I saw it. I knew what was going on, and because we had a dog that I trained that works for me, who got into a fight, got attacked by a pit bull on a call, and I posted a picture. This dog's very popular on our social media, and I posted a picture. Hey, this dog got attacked by a pit bull today. That was it. It showed his leg all tore up. Oh my God! They came out of the woodwork,
full force,
both sides.
Yeah.
You're hating on the breed. You're racist against the breed, and then the people are like, "You're a fucking idiot." And then they just I just had to delete. Only took about 30 minutes. We had like 1,200 comments.
Jesus.
People threatening to kill each other, and I'm like, "What the
Ted's
fuck?"
familiar with that.
They're like, and people are sending me messages like, "I'm deleting all your pages and everything. You should have just said he got attacked by a dog." I'm like,
You can't be honest anymore.
that doesn't make sense. If I would have said he got bit by a German Shepherd, no one would have said a word.
Or a Chihuahua.
Yeah, nobody would have said
So,
anything.
hey, if you haven't met crazy Chihuahua owners, I got a lesson in that the other day. How it can affect your life in such a profound way because of Pit Bull Armageddon, which by the way, it was crazy. I shared a meme for those of you who
It was
don't
a joke.
know. It was a meme. It was a joke, and it had a pit bull in front of this burning house, and it just said, "Pit bull runs in burning home to bite child one more time." And
Did you make that meme?
I did not.
No,
I've
seen it before.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I just simply shared that meme. And it took several days it was up for almost a week and a half before all of a sudden I got a message in my Working Dog Dry Goods inbox, and it was a guy named Terry. Put it in reverse, Terry. By the way, it was a guy named Terry sent me an inbox, and he's like, "I'm going to teach you a lesson."
Oh, shit.
And I was like, "Okay, Terry." Sure. And Terry apparently is the admin of, I don't know, like 50-something pit bull pages. And he shared it everywhere.
You're like, thanks for the engagement.
Yeah, exactly. Right. She hates pit bulls. She's trying to kill pit bulls. Like, Terry really... And so it was. I mean, it just all of a sudden there were hundreds of comments about pit bull racism. By the way, if you are comparing the plight of pit bulls to what Jewish people went through, or what, I mean, holy shit. Shit has gone wrong in your life. Like, let's not do that, folks.
She just went on the record.
I want to be on the record by saying that you are nuts. Okay?
No, I mean, that's the problem with America nowadays. I forget what comedian was saying it, but Bill Burr, that's who was talking about it, who I love, by the way. But Bill Burr was talking about, he's like, what can be funny these days, even as a comedian, has been put in such a small box. Like, oh, you can't talk about this anymore. You can't talk about that. Oh, you can't say that. Like, he's like, we've been trapped in this box that society's created about you can't joke anymore, you can't be fun anymore, you can't make a pit bull meme without literally getting death threats about it, or you can't post on Instagram without people threatening to kill each other. It's like, chill out.
Well, the
it's
thing,
a meme.
Should be funny. Comedy should be about uncomfortable things. We should be able to laugh about, and
I wonder where that shift came from, though, because as obviously when we were all kids growing up, that shit wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like, like comedy was as raw as it could get when we were growing up. So,
yep. Oh, Bill Burr, he still talks outside that little square, but
he's not selling out Times Square or not Times Square, but Madison Square Garden. You know what I mean? So it's the, I don't know. It's a weird time right now.
And people will call my job and complain on me. Call the department. Write letters. 39 emails some lady sent one time calling me all kinds of things, accusing me of all kinds of stuff. Because they know that they can have an effect on you. In the law enforcement,
correct,
that they can do that
professionally.
Yep. Yeah. Even though whatever she was complaining about had nothing to do with my job, nothing.
Yeah.
But they know they can screw with you.
Yeah.
So they do it.
And to kind of switch subjects here, you are an amazing artist.
Yes.
I've seen a ton of your work, Alicia. You've done the back of JJ's new suit, I believe, or his older one. And a few others that I've seen on social media, and the muzzles are fucking sick.
Like, I'll tell you, like, literally, Joe will vouch for this. I've literally sent him screenshots from your page before. Text him, and I'm like, dude, check out, like, this shit's incredible. Like, I've literally sent
I thought it was printed on there. That's how good it was. Like, I was like, there's no way that's painted.
Yeah.
Well,
So is it painted? No, I'm kidding.
I screen print.
Like I can't hear this.
Talk.
Yeah.
Hello, hello.
Yep.
Oh, I may have pulled your thing out. Sorry, Ted. You're good.
That's what she
No one
said.
wants to hear from you.
Right, Alicia.
I have literally no other marketable skills. None.
No other marketable skills.
Nothing. Terrible in school. So I was painting and doodling, and my mom said that that would never get me anywhere. So suck it, Mom. No, it literally started as a joke. I think I've talked about this on our podcast where I was walking down the street with my two males, and they were in black muzzles, and a lady kind of stopped me, and she was like, "Can they even breathe in those?" And I said, no, they died about 4 blocks ago.
But they're still walking.
Real good acting. So
Zombie dogs.
So we, we went from there. We went from just doing it as a joke to
As a joke.
Yeah, it was just kind of funny. Like I thought, well, hell,
It's progressed a lot from there, huh?
I started with like a shark face or something, but then it's grown, and now I think we just topped over 2,700 that we've sent out into the world. So it's kind of cool.
Like, do you ship them worldwide at this point?
Every country, but Antarctica has.
Really,
muzzles
every
on it.
country.
Every country.
Holy shit, that's impressive.
Every branch of the military.
There's probably some in Africa that have
Some country like
Yeah.
Tanzania
No,
or something.
because I have shipped some to the. I did a whole series for anti-poaching dogs.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's an awesome lady named Lauren. She goes by Winch Zero on Instagram, and she is rad, and she'll contact me out of the blue, and she'll be like, "Hey, I'd like to send a muzzle to this person," and she'll just pick someone and send them gear.
Oh wow,
So-
that's awesome.
badass.
And you do like leashes and stuff too, right?
Yeah, we're currently looking for, because we're so small and because the demand has gone nuts. We teamed up with Mike Ritlin
Oh yeah.
and did his Tricos line, and holy shit, they just, I mean, I don't care what you put in Mike's hand. Mike, you could sell a dildo. You could just hold it, and people would be like, "Oh fuck, I need that." So of course, Mike helped in the design, and Logan, and then we made them, and we can't keep them in stock.
So is there a point where you feel like you're gonna have to get someone to help you?
Already there.
Sweet.
We're in talks for a big American manufacturer to help us with them.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
We want to keep it, here in the States and go from there.
That's all. Yeah, like I shared them a while back on the Facebook pages. I'm like, these designs are so crazy. Like they're so good.
They are badass.
Occasionally we'll have somebody will email us, right? And I'm usually the one answering the emails and everything else, and then they'll be like, I want to put...
Which is why they're misspelled.
I want to put this on there. I'm like, fuck, this thing's only like 3x3, right? I mean, they want the fucking Sistine Chapel on there. So they'll,
All his emails have the word ducking in them from autocorrect. Ducking.
Never have I ever meant ducking.
Exactly.
So,
Fucking autocorrect.
And every time she's able to pull it off, and I'm not surprised anymore, but somebody will want something, I'm like, oh, dude, I don't know, man. Maybe. So
Never say no over the phone.
How long does an average muzzle design take? Would you say from start to ready to ship?
Somewhere between... Nope, I think I cut out again.
Oh, you're good. Go
I got it. Somewhere between 30 minutes to actually put the paint to, the muzzle. I don't do any beforehand drawing. It goes directly onto the muzzle. I won't sketch because that's double work.
Oh, wow. So you don't draw it out first?
Nope.
So it's literally just paint.
Just directly onto the muzzle.
Wow.
And go with it. And sometimes I end up fucking up, and so then I just paint it black and start over, but that's besides the point. But it depends on how intricate the design. Like Ted said, some people will call and they'll be like, I need baby Jesus and
floating
reaching
down
out and touching my Malinois, and and you're like, holy shit.
What's the longest design it's taken?
Couple days,
Oh, wow.
like several hours throughout the day, because I'll paint multiple at the same time. I'll usually have like a 7
Oh, so you just
or
rotate.
so going, and so I'm working on this one's teeth while it's drying. I'll put this one's, it's just
Have you ever almost like completely finished, then completely screwed it up and had to restart, or no?
so many times.
Yeah.
Or I'll do the wrong design on the wrong size, or and in my history of ever, I've had 4 customers not like their paint job.
Really?
4.
And 2 of them got it for fucking free.
Well,
That is a true story.
that doesn't surprise me at all, actually.
No.
As we always say, the ones you try to help and bend over the backwards the most for are usually the ones that turn out to be
They
the
actually
biggest pain
said
in the
I would
ass.
be unhappy with this if I had to pay for it.
And I said,
like,
well, you didn't. So.
seriously?
Well, there's the rule Joe always says, I always say in the dog world, is there's just some people that you could give them a briefcase with $1 million and their response is going to be, I have to
Yeah.
carry this. So,
Right.
you're just going to
Pissed
have
off
those
about
people
it.
out there, yeah.
I think our relationship started with a muzzle. I mean, she was communicating. When I interviewed her, she talks about stalking me on social media to get a response. And I'm all about networking, right? Network, all the time. Always meeting people. You never know. So we bought a muzzle, had her paint the Police K9 Association logo on it. And then I had her do one for my business and put the muzzle on there. And then I think 1 or 2 of my guys did. It was all kind of flowed from there. And then our relationship starts going. And then our dog Jethro back home gets killed, and that kind of just she's got the bracelet, and that just kind of exploded everything. And I'm glad I answered one of her messages, which
Tactical stalking.
right. my OCD requires me to answer messages, so I have to do it.
So you guys mentioned Ritlin earlier. Shout out to him and his podcast, Mic Drop, which is fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's Eric and I went down there, and today is Tuesday, so that episode uploads there on Wednesday. So when this airs, it'll already be downloaded. So it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, it was cool. I mean, I've been down there to the ranch a couple of times. We dropped a dog off there that we took back from I'm not going to say the department, but a department that ended up using a dog a lot, and this specific dog in general, and he was a dick. And the department was terrified of him, and we took him to the Warrior Dog Foundation because he was too old to rehome. Handler couldn't go with the handler. They weren't going to reassign him; they're just going to put him down. I'm like, no. So yeah, we've been down there several times to design the leash. We've picked up some dogs, dropped some dogs off. I mean, because they're only like 3 hours from Tulsa. So
Right on.
yeah.
He's in the middle of nowhere, man.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of fucking soybean
I
field.
kind of gathered that. Yeah, but his what I like about his podcast, it's not geared just for everyone out there that hasn't listened to it. Go subscribe. It's incredible, but it's not geared toward dogs. He talks about everything.
Whatever.
I can't remember the name, but he had the controversial transgender seal on one of the episodes. That was the most intriguing episode that I've heard of his, and I mean, he glues you in, you know what I mean, and you're just like, fuck, I can't get out the car right now. I got to listen to the rest of this. Unfortunately, his podcasts are like 4 hours long, so then I miss every fucking appointment that I had that day. But
we did the one we recorded with him was just under 3 hours, and you'll be surprised how little dog talk we actually did on it. I think.
Yeah.
I told all kinds of undercover stories. And
Nice.
Talking about guys showing us penises and all kinds of. It gets really fucking weird.
Gets weird.
But
I'm just glad he doesn't remember my first meeting with him because I threatened to tackle him, and he told me that was not a good idea. So
Nice.
never do that.
Nice. So you guys were there last week?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
In and out. Flew down.
Yeah?
Did it and flew back the next day.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, he flew down.
I
I picked him up at the airport, and then we just dropped him off. I mean, we literally went in, did the podcast, and then dropped him off at the airport. So
Yeah, that was.
But I mean, he's out in like BFE, Texas, like way out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, the town they're in is like a Dairy Queen.
That was a
barbecue
gas
place
station, I
and
think.
and a gas station,
Yeah.
and like a flashing red light, and that's fucking it. I mean, it's out in the middle of
That's
nowhere.
it. There he is. There's
He's got a great setup there for his kennel is real good and doing some training. If you just gotta want to live out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And Eric, you've recently tapped into a little bit of the pet world, yeah?
Yeah,
I heard that on
more than
your-
a little bit, man.
I've heard that on a previous show of Working Dog Radio.
Well, here's the funny thing, man. So I had been thinking about it, and I didn't do it not because of looking down on the pet world or anything like that. It's just because of time, right?
Sure.
And I was making a lot of people a lot of money referring dogs. You know, I train a lot of dogs. So people are calling me about their dogs. I send them to this girl, this lady, a few people that I respect. And I was like talking to Aaron Taylor, who was on your show, about it. And the funny thing is, man, I was on I had some dogs in my kennel. I took 3 weeks off of work to catch them up and get them working. And the first day of that 3-week trip, I was on Tank's treadmill talk.
Yep.
And he's basically on there like, why aren't you doing the pets? I'm like, I don't fucking have an answer. It's just time. I haven't done it. And as soon as I get off there, my phone starts blowing up with trainers telling me, dude, you got to do it. This is how much money you're losing. This is what you're passing up on. This is how you need to be doing it. So I partnered up with a girl named Allie, who is I send all the pet referrals to, and she's doing 12, 13 dogs at a time, and she does very nice work, but is working 20 hours a day.
Yeah,
and I keep that in mind because I work 20 hours a day, so I need somebody who has the same kind of work ethic as me. She's texting me right where we're talking. She was up till 2 o'clock in the morning last night dealing with dogs. And so she and I have partnered up, and we started July 1st. I signed a lease on a new building, and we are booked through November.
That's awesome.
With mostly board and trains, but board, and we're doing some daycare. I'll be honest with you, the daycare is to help friends work, to give friends and family a job.
Yeah.
So the daycare's slow, like a lot of places that have daycares, a lot of the dogs there are board and trained dogs that we drop off, So I go to work, I'll drop off a board and trained dog. The daycare girl knows how to work place, so you can help me out a little bit. And that's slow, but it's picking up. I don't even care if the daycare makes money, just as long as it pays her, and I'm good to go. But the board, so she gives me a dog, a little easy 6-month-old golden or something. I'm like, yeah, that was awesome. The next dog she gives me is a dog killer, Staffordshire Terrier. Like I felt like I was a prison guard on death row, or on the lifers, not even death row.
It was like Hannibal Lecter.
Because I had 4 Malinois, 2 very dog aggressive ones of mine in the kennel, and I'm trying to move this dog killer through there. And it was a whole ordeal. I had a lot of respect for what you guys do with those aggressive dogs. And I had the dog for a week, and then Allie finished the second week with him, and that sucked.
Yeah.
But in summary,
That's
right, that sucked. But it actually made one of the police dogs I had in there a little bit more dog reactive, which I didn't really appreciate. But I got the dog. My whole job was that dog had never been on a collar, never been on a leash, never been in a muzzle, and that was my job. I got him leash and collar correct,
Good
so
stuff.
that when I turned him over, all she had to do was the reactivity.
Yeah.
And it worked out real well.
that's awesome.
He ended up having to do 3 weeks. He's a dog killer dog. Gonna kill a dog if he's not,
Yeah, and that's what
That's
when
it.
Aaron Taylor from Ridgeside K9 was on here, he talked about is, he started off as like the working dog, like, screw the pet stuff, like that. That's bullshit. And he's like, once I got into the pet stuff, he's like, it made me a better trainer. Because, when you have a Malinois that he'll do anything to get the ball, he'll do anything to get a tug. And now you have this Chihuahua or this Pit or this Rot who gives or the Shiba Inu who gives a shit less about you. He doesn't give a fuck about the ball. He doesn't care about treats, and you still gotta achieve the same results. And he's like, it's a lot harder to work a lot of those dogs than it is a 6-month-old Malinois,
right,
or a year-old high drive Shepherd. And he's like, so it actually gave me a lot more respect when I went into it thinking like, whatever.
Well, I'll tell you where it's really going to pay benefits for me is, and Ted and I talk about this on our podcast a lot. So at my department, if you go through a class, it's usually green dog, green handler, and it's 14 weeks minimum. In 14 weeks, I can get a dog pretty freaking good. Obedience is done, perfectly. But now everybody wants the 5-week dog, the 5-week green dog, green handler, 5 or 6 week dog. So all I'm doing obedience-wise with those dogs is teaching them tricks to get through certification. That's it.
Yeah.
Because the dogs from Europe don't come with even a sit anymore. If they come with a sit, that's all I ask. Just give me a fucking sit so I can start doing detection right away. Can you at least do that?
Yeah.
But no down, nothing. And so I'm just teaching tricks to get these guys on the road and get certification. But in the board and train, you have 2 weeks to make this dog perfect. So I'm learning definitely so that I don't have to teach tricks in 5 or 6 weeks.
Sure.
I can actually teach legitimate obedience because I didn't even really try. I just was like, I have, because the other factor in there is I have a green handler, and I got to train him as well just like owners.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
So it's definitely helping. And Allie's been great because she still is giving me the easy dogs, and she's taking all the hard cases, mainly because I work a day job.
Yeah, you have a full-time
and
job.
it's hard for me
to
do the ones that need this insane attention.
Yeah, a lot more extra.
I walked into the building yesterday, and she had this dog we just got. It's a lab mix with severe separation anxiety, and she's dealing with the dog, and I'm like, oh, it's pretty good. I left. I come back, and what I saw when I got back, what that dog had done, I was like, yeah, fuck that.
That's why I got you.
Yeah, she's like, welcome to the dark side. She goes, can I have the 6-month puppy back?
Yeah, exactly.
And Ted, you don't fuck with pets.
Ted,
at all,
will we
right?
ever see Ted Summers healing?
I think he
Chihuahua?
said on Working Dog Radio before, he's like, I teach dogs how to bite and how to smell shit. You
Although,
know?
Here's my thing. I don't mind doing pet stuff. I don't like doing it because I don't like dealing with people. And
That's fair.
And you two know as well as anybody, your job is training people.
Exactly.
And I can't fucking stand that. And I don't mind doing the obedience, and I don't mind doing pets. And I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, you train my dog? I'm like, no, you don't want me to. And I'm like, I'm not even that good of a trainer. I'm definitely not well-rounded. So, I just teach dogs to find people or bite shit and find stuff. So, I mean, it's not like, and that's the thing. That's why I don't like doing personal protection dogs either, because, people's expectations are so fucking out of whack. And yeah, people's expectations are so weird and so almost impossible to meet that it's not even worth doing. And then they don't want to fucking pay for it. At least with patrol dogs and with police dogs, whether it's single purpose or dual purpose or whatever, I have a finite list of what certification standards are, and I have a repeatable standard that I have to go by. And the guys are paid there. Most of the time they're motivated. So, they don't really argue with me that much, and it's like, this is your fucking job, this is how you do it, XYZ, 1 2 3 4 5 down the line, done.
Yeah.
And pets,
there's a lot of gray area.
Yeah, and I don't do well. She'll tell you, I don't do well with gray area. I'm very black or white. And when people come in and they want to do, we have pets come in, I'll have Jamie, my intern, do it, who's awesome. And I just don't have the patience to deal with people, and which is why I like doing police dogs. Even though there's, I think that Eric will be the one to tell you this. There's some kind of misnomer that fucking police handlers are the pinnacle of dog handling, and that is not the fucking case. And there's a lot of good handlers. There's a ton of shitty ones too, and but at least I don't have a moving target.
Yeah, and
And if I, and I've had guys come through some of my courses where Scott and I are like, you're a fucking idiot. And, Scott will call the department and be like, you guys need to pick a new handler. I mean, so, and it's not like, if you have a client come through with a pet dog,
you can't fire them.
Yeah, you're like, fuck you, get out of here. I like your dog, but you're a dick. You can't say that. So,
I guess that's a bonus for your line.
But I mean, nonetheless, pets or not, I mean, you stay fucking busy. I see you're posting shit all the time. With in the back of a bus, in this creepy warehouse that it makes really good video, but I'd be scared to death to go.
It looks
in there.
hot.
It does look fucking hot, right? He's got those industrial fans going, and
it's hot. It's super hot, and yeah, I mean, and you see the videos. I mean, if you see the shit that we don't, I mean, how many hours of video do I have that is
that we haven't posted?
Yeah, I mean, shit that I have. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I'm generally out there 6 days a week working, training, and right now, I was telling you before we started recording, we got all these patrol dogs we got to finish, and some single purpose dogs.
Yeah,
and so I mean, I have plenty to keep me busy, and then on top of that, Working Dog Radio, and then Working Dog Dry Goods also. So the pet side, and that's the thing with the personal protection dogs too. When people come to me and they're like, hey, can you do a personal protection dog? I'm like, all right, well, here's the deal. A patrol dog costs X amount of $1,000, right? Whatever they cost. So you're asking me to fill up a slot both in the kennel and in my time. So if I'm doing that, I can't do a police dog.
So I need at least the same.
Right, and they're like, oh, well, that sounds like a lot. I'm like, go talk to somebody else then.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, they want to bring me a dog. I'm like, no, I don't do that either. Like, you know, and I say that and we just did one.
I
but I mean, I hate that too. And they're like, "Oh, I want you to train my dog." I'm like, "Your dog sucks. I don't want to do that."
yeah.
He can't do it. So
Well, and that's that. I have a blog on that, as you know, called "Why Your Dog Can't Be a Personal Protection Dog."
Right.
Literally, that's the name of the blog, and
That sounds amazing.
I'm sure you guys get it way more than us because that's not even our specialty or what we do, and it is you guys. Is so I'm sure you get the lab and collie that the owner wants to be the personal protection dog or the
rescue shepherd.
Yeah.
The rescue shepherd.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
From show lines.
The weird thing, the weird thing for me is, and my partner Allie and I debate back and forth about this, is people are like, when you get into the pet side, you have to change the way you talk to the owners. You're gonna have to change the way you talk to people because I'm very, very forward and frank. And when I'm training police dog handlers, they get definitely a full court press from me. I don't hide anything. I don't sugarcoat anything. I think it's unfair to do so. So when I started doing the pet side, when I started advertising it on my social media, granted, Allie brings a lot of customers, but there are a lot of customers that came there because of who I am locally, and I personally think I should keep it the same to a degree, but like I had a guy whose dog I was working, pet dog, and he sent me a text. Can I see a picture of this? And my one word, no. And then he wanted to see a picture of his dog without a muzzle on. I took a picture of the dog with a muzzle. No. And I sent it to him. And then we had a lady that came in, and we had just gotten her dog a lot of separation anxiety. She forgot her food, came back, and she was causing some issues. Mm-hmm. And I know the lady. So I said, yeah, you should go ahead and bounce. So she left and then saw a picture of the dog online. Says, oh, that's my sweet baby. I go, this is how you two should communicate online. and Allie's like, no, don't.
You can't say that.
Listen, I don't give a fuck. Go somewhere else then. That's gonna be the weird thing for me to deal with. Yeah. Is you come in and say, well, I don't really want to use a prong collar. Turn around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. That is one thing I'm gonna keep consistent with. Is if I have to be a dick, I'm gonna be a dick. Okay. And with the personal protection dogs, you just don't even call me. I don't have no. I mean, if you're gonna try to get your dog ready, maybe to try to get into some sport work, I'll mess with their grips and see. Sure, why not? But I'm just not gonna take your dog and let you bite the neighbor, and then we all get sued. Insurance business for dogs is not easy to get.
Yeah,
that is true.
I actually had a client that wanted a personal protection. This was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. Wanted a personal protection dog and ended up calling me one day, and they were mad. They were like, "This dog doesn't work," and I was like, "Okay, I know it does. Why? What happened?" Well, I had a guy out. He was building my fence, so I wanted to test the dog. So I got him out of the car. And
this really fucking happened.
This really fucking happened. This was a real fucking phone call. He wouldn't fire up on that fence builder, and so he doesn't work. He's not going to protect me. And I was like, Are you fucking kidding me? I go, was the fence builder a threat to you? No, he's my husband's employee, and I just
sees him every day.
And I just I wanted to.
Yeah, it was my son.
Holy fucking shit! No.
Yeah.
And I looked at Ted and I go, no more.
Yep.
That was the end of it.
That was it. That never again. No.
I know a guy who's real big in the police business, real big, and kind of a mentor to me. And he sells pretty high-end home protection dogs. And what his theory is, he goes over to Europe and he selects all dogs police quality, every one of them. And the most social and easiest going dogs are the ones he does for the home, not the crazy defensive ones.
Yeah.
Those ones, and because if they get returned, he can always make them police dogs. Mm-hmm. They still work out. But a lot of these backyard trainer guys for personal protection dogs, it's all just defensive, horrible shit dogs. Nasty.
And I tell people too, I tell all my handlers day one, I'm like, first day handler school, you can't teach dogs to bite people, not shocked when they do. No matter how well trained a dog is, it'll still lick its own ass and eat cat shit. And they're just not the best decision makers in the world. And we teach them to bite people. They don't know the difference between a kid, a shitbag, an old woman, whatever it is. When you say fucking Stellan, they're going to nuke whatever they come to. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people, I think they think that you can somehow teach dogs not to bite certain people, or I don't know what it is. I'm like, no, it's a fucking dog, man. Like, they're gonna, I mean, you know, and I just, to me, it's common sense. Like, you know, when I tell people that, when I say, hey, when you tell them to bite somebody, they're going to do it. Like, end of story. So, and sometimes when you tell them not to do it, they're going to do it.
Right.
And that's why with personal protection dogs, I'm like, oh, fuck that. Just buy a Glock. You know, get a gun. Get a dog that fucking barks and get a shotgun. How about that?
There you go.
And it's way cheaper. You don't have to worry about it. Then there's the whole deal about, you know, skills maintenance. Like, people think that,
it's
you
just
know,
there for life.
Yeah, and you know, so I mean, minimum standard for canine handlers, 16 hours a month. That's minimum, and that's just like barely. And that's, you know, just like anything, just like jiu-jitsu, just like firearm skills, just like anything. It's a perishable skill. And people are like, oh, you know, the dog hasn't worked in 6 months. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, what's going to happen? I mean, is he going to? I mean, what are you going to do with him? And so people are unwilling to commit time to continued training. When you explain that to them, they're like, well, you know, or they'll say, well, I read somewhere or some other trainer. I'm like, well, fuck you then. Go talk to him. And like, I don't care, you know. So, and when my guys don't show up to training, you know, or if they make an excuse to get out of training or whatever else, like my core guys that are my core handlers, you know, I mean, they're there. We train every week, and we don't do obedience at my in-service trainings. They do that shit. They get an extra hour a day. That's when they fucking do it. And they're not there with me to do obedience. And I'm watching them, and I watch them do obedience, and if they're not, I'm like, what is wrong with you? You know, and they're like, yeah, I know. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, as long as you know, just, you know, quit fucking around. But, you know, and Eric, it talks about that a lot too. And when they come to me, it's scenario-based training, both for detection work and for apprehension stuff. So, you know, the protection dog world to me is all fucking smoke and mirrors, and I want nothing. Now, sport work, I'll do that all day long. Yeah. I love sport work. Those people are committed most of the time. They generally have really nice dogs if they're going to be competitive. You know, so you've got commitment, you've got nice dog, you know, so you've got all the skills and you've got all the recipe. You've got the recipe there to have something very nice, but you just got these fucking lazy-ass people that are like, oh, I just want to do this with a protection dog. I'm like, fuck you. Like, no, we're not doing that.
So do you guys have a list, and you don't have to say it, but do you have like a list in your mind of like decoy trainers, companies where you're like, okay, they're legit, or fuck them, they're terrible, and I don't understand how they're still, you know, doing
Oh, yeah.
Yes and yes.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Ted
Which
and I...
one would you like me to start with?
Ted and I didn't, we, you know, never really talked about that, and then when we did, the list was exactly the same.
Was it?
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly the same. The only difference is me. I don't know as many folks as Ted and Delecia do in the business. I'm meeting, like, a lot of these people. I see, like, yeah, I know that guy. I just don't fucking know that guy.
Right.
Like, we do the interview, the podcast. I'm like, who is this again? And they'll tell me, I go, oh, yeah, okay, I know that fucking guy, but I don't know him. And they do. That's why, like, HITS is going to be so great for me. I'm going to meet some people. You know, we interviewed guys from Southern Coast K9 and Highland K9. Great interviews, great people. They're good supporters of ours. I've never met them. Yeah. So I can't wait to meet those folks.
Awesome.
Fuck no, I got drunk with the guys from Highland last night.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to meet them so I can get some stories.
Stay away from them. They're dangerous.
They drink. But no. Yes, I mean, there's definitely, even with smoke and mirrors, you can tell. You know, and my whole thing is, I like to use the term empirical data, that I have proof that my stuff works. I don't keep data, but it's based off of apprehensions and tracks and all the stuff. The things that I do personally work. It does work, and I learn from a lot of different people all the time. I learn different techniques and things like that. But the folks that are doing stuff that I know is bullshit and just isn't going to fucking work, it's because it doesn't fucking work. Yeah. And they keep putting it out there, and they get it, and maybe they have, you know, a lot of followers on social media, but you'll never meet anyone who's got a fucking dog from them because their stuff sucks, or they don't get a second dog from them.
Yeah. Point me to somebody that's got one of those motherfuckers.
So here's a follow-up question to that, because there's a lot of things going on right now, controversy on social media. Shocker, I know that's weird, right? As far as resumes of trainers on your side of the industry. There is an individual that claims you have to title dogs in order to be recognized as a good trainer. There is one that says, I've seen where it says somebody can work 1,000 dogs in a matter of 12 months, but they're still not as experienced as the person that worked those 1,000 dogs over 5 years. What's your input on that?
I think Eric hit it on the head, like results. And I'm the same way. Like I said, I've never been in the military. I've never been a cop. But, and you had Bradshaw on here. Bradshaw the same way. He was a fucking college professor before he was a dog trainer, right?
Right.
And he's a fantastic trainer. He's probably one of the best in the industry.
Sure.
And if not, I mean, especially with certain things. And, I don't think anybody would really discount that or deny that. And granted, he didn't start out there, but, Eric hit the nail on the head. I think it's results. So, when you see and like he said, find me somebody that has one of those dogs from one of those dickheads that our list is the same. There's none. Like, they train one fucking dog, and it's the dog that you see in all the videos, and it's like, cool, where's the other one? I mean, fuck, if you look at the stuff that I or he posts, I mean, if you see the same dog over and over again, it's not very often.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'll have, like, shit, and same thing with Eric. So, I think it comes down to results. In terms of titling, I think titling a dog means that you can train a police dog? No. Does training a police dog mean that you can go and get a sport title? No. So it's an extremely specific skill set on both sides. And, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I don't have in terms of, and I was talking about this a minute ago, like, I don't have in terms of, like, a paper resume all that impressive. Like, I haven't been a cop for 30 years, and I haven't done this, and I haven't done that, and I'm not a fucking Napwata master trainer or whatever, wank wank. And, but you can't deny that, just like he said, what I do works. My handlers are professional. They're very good handlers. They do a great job. My dogs find shit and bite people.
Yeah.
And I don't give a fuck if I've got one leg and three eyes, and I'm an asshole, and I don't speak English, I can still do it. And so... and that's kind of what I think. Like, people fall back on a resume, and that's what I say. I'm like, you had better be so fucking good that it shocks me. Because if anybody comes to me and they're like, well, you've never done this, and I'm like, well, you're standing here listening to me talk, so what the fuck does that make you?
Yeah.
And, you don't have to. I mean, you can fucking leave. I don't give a shit. But at the end of the day, it's results. Like, and that's kind of the thing. People are like, well, how do you learn a decoy? Just fucking do it. Just get smashed. I mean, there's no... and that's the thing. Like, I was very lucky that I had two mentors in my career so far that I learned a lot from. And one of them is now our partner, Scott. And that dude has taught me a ton. And, I still learn from him, like, every day. In fact, I fucked something up the other day, and he was like, you need to be doing this. I'm like, fuck, I know. So, and it kind of is what it is. And if people are like, and Eric says it best too, like, people in this industry buy dogs based on their relationships. They don't buy dogs in the police world based on results. Clearly, because if that were the case, we wouldn't have shitty police dogs.
Issues, yeah.
So, but we do. And, it's not really about price. It's not really about anything else other than relationships. And you'll have dudes that handle one dog for 4 years, right? And they didn't train the motherfucker. They handled him for 4 years. They either get promoted or the dog retires and they go out somewhere else. And they're like, well, fuck, I'm going to train police dogs now. I handled for 4 years. I'm like, dude, seriously? And people will buy dogs from those motherfuckers.
That's funny. I was just having a talk last night with a good friend about that exact topic. And we talked for about an hour and a half on that, how, you spend all your time training one dog. And, yeah, you've titled that fucking dog in 90 million different things. But that doesn't make you
based off someone else's.
I'll tell you how to find a good trainer. Is somebody that can do that. Michael Ellis is a perfect example. That guy he doesn't do police dogs. He's a friend. He's a ring trainer, right?
Yeah.
Super good, right? Yeah. Mondio, right? And Balabanov's another example. Go look at those guys, and for that matter, Coy down in Dallas, Bradshaw. Look at the clubs that they run and how they're able to repeatably and consistently produce titled dogs with different handlers and different teams.
Yeah.
They're able to repeat the results over and over and over again. So either they figured out a formula or they know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, common sense, right? I mean, again, it's not turning dog training into rocket science,
Chill out, Isaac Newton.
If you can train a dog, you can fucking train a dog. Yeah. I mean, and if you can't, the world will see, and you'll be, you'll be weeded out. So
yeah, the funny thing is, like, so I got into K9 in 2005, and I took over as head trainer in 2010, and most of you have never heard of me until the last couple years because of social media. Had no idea who I was. In the interim between when I took over and when you guys heard of me, I had several dogs that I trained that retired with 125 street apprehensions, $3 million in dope seizures, and all kinds of things like that, and you never heard of me. Now, I did go out west to train the Navy SEAL dogs because it was cool, and it is good for the resume.
Sure.
That type of stuff. So there's a little bit of resume, but there are a ton of dog trainers in this country that I have never met and never heard of that are putting out decent dogs.
Yeah, of course.
Never heard of them.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. And there's a ton of dog trainers that we all know that are shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it goes both ways, I think, so it's the back and forth on social media between, decoy trainers and vendors, it drives me batshit.
It's like, just fucking train your dogs and shut up.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. It's like, why are they doing that?
Talked about
just fucking, if you spent more time on a field or in a fucking creepy ass warehouse than you did on social media, your dogs would probably be 1,000 times better.
That's my house, by
Right.
the way. I was gonna invite you over for a barbecue, but
Damn it!
Now she knows your real thoughts.
Yeah. So,
Damn it!
really
I actually have an
appreciate that.
interesting question for kind of, I guess, both of you. Like, use the brake stick a lot, and actually, and this is the reason I bring it up. And keep in mind, I don't watch hundreds of decoys videos. Like I said, I literally watch all of yours, and I watch some of the other people's too. But you're the only one that I ever actually feel like I've seen use that.
He's a fanboy.
Yeah. So I guess my question, to make it a bigger question, is benefits or cons, pros or cons of the brake stick, choke off, verbal out. Eric, go first.
I'll go first because
Okay.
mine will be shorter. Actually, probably not, actually. So all of our dogs are, so I'll speak for myself. All my dogs are trained with a nice verbal out. They have to for the state certification. Got to do it. Some are harder than others, but and I've changed my techniques 3 or 4 years ago. I was still lots of compulsion. There was a lot of conflict. But I always won. We'd always get the dog out with e-collar and everything else. You have to clean them up every once in a while. But, so I work for a place where our guys get a lot of bites, right? A lot. And we don't do any, and I mean no, outs on the street. None. If you're doing verbal outs from a distance on the street, you're an idiot. Your dog is going to rebite the guy, or he is going to bite your backup.
Yeah.
For sure. 100%. So what we do, and the other thing is, you cannot shut these handlers up. You can't get them to stop saying out 50 times in a row.
God
Out,
damn it,
out,
I hate
out,
that.
out,
So
out,
there's
out,
the
out,
dogs
out,
are
out, out, out.
desensitized.
It doesn't matter. Video. Fuckers are videoing you saying...
It was
saying,
just on social media, or there was a news
yeah.
story on it
Yeah.
a few months ago.
So all of my guys, every guy in the association, I have 38 dogs that I train. Every guy has a brake stick, and I teach everybody, when you're on that bite, just go over, put that brake stick in their mouth. All you're doing is tickling the top, pop them up. Don't fucking say a word. No out, no nothing. Bloop.
Done.
The hardest dog we have, the hardest dog in 1 second will come off of that brake stick. No repeated commands. You can do it when his eyes are fucking crossed and he's in the middle of the fight and he's not listening to you. Bloop.
No controversy.
Bloop. Right off.
Yeah.
And you controlled his head, and he didn't rebite the guy, and he didn't bite the backup because backup guys have horrible timing.
Yeah.
So we try to teach, pop off, go ahead, or we have them maybe put a knee on the guy first, control maybe his arms or something, depending on where the bite is, bloop, pop him off, everybody's good to go, 2 seconds done. So the courts can't get pissed. They're saying that they're on there too long while you're trying to get them out. I definitely have taught lots of choke offs, and we still do. I still do when I'm building some things in dogs. I get to a certain, I'll be the first to admit it, we used to do in training so many choke offs that we were building such drive that I had to spend too much time in conflict
Fixing it. Yeah.
to get them tricks, to get them through the certification.
Sure.
And our dogs will, like Ted likes to say, don't confuse a dog that won't out with a dog that wasn't asked to or told to.
Deep.
I like it.
So, anyways, that's my stance on it.
Ted?
Mine's very similar. All of our dogs will verbally out. None of my guys are taught to do it in an actual bite. And for the exact same reasons. They will re-engage. I mean, because that's how we teach an out. You teach an out, and as soon as they out, the reward is, and dog bites fucking hurt. And the first thing that happens as soon as somebody gets out, the dog's off, you flinch to get away from it and snag.
Boom. Yeah.
So, and if you think that a re-engagement is bad, wait till your backing officers get bit, then your admins are going to be super fucking pissed.
Yeah.
So, it's an officer safety thing. It's a safety thing for the person that has just been removed, that you've just taken the dog off of. And, in training, like Eric said, I do a lot of choke offs to, like when we're training a dog, I don't teach an out until probably like the last 4 or 5 days of handler school. I don't, and I mean, because I'll do it like at the very beginning just to see kind of how much of how difficult it's going to be with the dog. And I can get an out in 4 days, easy. I got an out and recall and call off in 4 days off of a mature patrol dog that failed certification twice in a state near Oklahoma, and with a green handler. Wow. And it's not fucking rocket science. Now, the thing about the out that gets so fucked up is, well, one, I don't understand because you'll hear me say it all the time, outs are overrated. Mm-hmm. It's literally the one behavior that a police dog does that I can force at will at any point in time.
So it should be the easiest thing.
Yeah.
Not
outs are
controversial
No,
video
outs are fucking
thing.
overrated, right? So, and the general public, I don't really give a fuck what they think. Like, they see, like, the video from San Diego or whatever, and the dog being lifted off, which is pretty much policy, right? Or broken off, when they're like, oh, that dog should have a verbal out. And I'm like, you should shut the fuck up. And I don't ever say anything, but I'm just like, nobody cares what you think.
Yeah.
So, but where I think we get kind of twisted is, the dog will leave with a good out, right? So then they go to a training group. And the thing with outs is you've got to have two people that know what the fuck they're doing. That is usually the problem. And then have good timing also. Because you'll end up, like Eric just said, you're like, out, out, out. And at the same time, because, they're popping him with a fucking leash, which is creating opposition reflex, which is what we use to create that forward driving bite. Yeah. And then you've got the fucking decoy getting yanked around like a rag doll and not freezing up and everything else. So, you've got to have two people that are in sync that are able to maintain it. And that's typically why, like, shit. We had one of our dogs just get his PD1 with USPCA, and that dog does not like to out. And he was super clean. And I won't ask him to out again for a couple months. And I mean, it's not rocket science, but I teach him how to use a brake stick and to not say a word, just like Eric said. Just walk up, grab his collar, pop him off. Done deal. I'll teach him if they're like, what if you bro? And because the first thing that every asshole says on Facebook when they see that, they're like, what if you don't have it? So, and if I choose to answer and I'm not a smartass, I'll say...
Which is rare.
Right. Now, with my handlers, I say, if you drop this is what's the one thing you've always got on you? Handcuffs. And I teach them how to do the same trick with handcuffs.
Nice.
And there's video of me doing that, too. And they're like, holy shit. They look at you like you're a wizard when you show them that. They're like, what? So, and then we teach the lift off also. And then we teach a verbal out. So, when my handlers leave, they have 3 ways to get a dog off of somebody.
Yeah.
Under control. And that's what this game's all about.
Sure.
It is about control. And that's why we do it. And, so when, Becky from fucking SoCal comments about how it's bad that the dog doesn't out, I'm like...
Becky.
And just...
Damn it, Becky.
And every state and national certification, because there's only 10 states that even have a state-mandated certification, but if there is, and every national certification requires a verbal out. I mean, they just do. Yeah. And it's just... fucking infuriating when people are like, oh, that dog doesn't have a fucking out. And then you get dickheads, I see this all the time too, they're like, oh, well, these dogs don't out and they're fucking sport trainers. And I'm a sport trainer too, but they overcomplicate it and they want to make the out like this big mythical thing. And I'm like, dude, it takes some of the dogs I've gotten outs in a day, like reliable verbal outs, but it's timing, just like anything. Training, it's timing, consistency, and repeatability over time that creates that behavior. And, if you're fucking around with it and you screw it up, then and the other portion of it too is the last thing I want that dog thinking about is letting go.
Yeah.
And I mean, and you can see it when you see a lot of dogs that have been worked on and out. Eric will tell you too, like that they do the toy tray where you out the dog and they immediately turn to come back to the handler to grab the tug. They're waiting for an out.
Yeah.
They're the last thing I want is for that dog to think about letting go until I'm ready for him to come off. Because the safest place for him to be is chewing on somebody until you get him in handcuffs. And then when everything's under control, then you can take them off. The last thing I want is them coming off and never think about it.
So when you see this wave of videos, it seems like we've seen a lot recently on social media with the dogs and stuff. Do you see that as a training problem or a handling problem? Or training the handler problem, or all of that?
I think that's D, all of the above. Like the one video and we talked about it on the Ritland's podcast, where the guy had the dog, the kid ran from the car and then came back, and the dog broke his down and went and bit the guy. That guy, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot going on in that video. There's a lot for that guy to deal with. But when it happened where he bit the kid, that guy was definitely in over his head.
Yeah.
Definitely had never been shown anything at all. I had a guy just hit me up last night about a dog issue with his dog, and I could tell from talking to him at training, all they ever did was just field bites. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's bad. You know what I mean? Everybody likes stories, so I'll tell you 2 quick stories about the out stuff. So I was doing a scenario where we had a guy hiding in a cubby. So the dog had to go through a hole in the wall, real small hole in the wall, go in and bite the guy. And then we were using the line to drag the guy out, right? Rather than stick your head in there. Yeah. So I had a guy come from another training group, and his dog goes in and bites the guy. And then he's like, watch this. And he says the dog's name and out. And the dog like, go, come back, whoop, perfectly to heel. He goes, what do you think? I go,
what are you going to do now?
Now, fuckhead.
How are you going
to get the guy out of there? You're going to go now. You're going to have to get a second bite.
Yeah.
Or stick your head in there, and the guy's going to fucking shoot you.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of an eye opener for him. And then the last dog that I handled on the street before I left for the Navy SEAL program, I get a bite on a guy who was wanted on a pretty bad domestic. I snuck up behind him walking down the street. I caught him half stepping. He came out of these woods and never looked to his left. If he would have looked, this is a career criminal too, and he never looked. If he would have looked to his left, he would have standing there like an idiot with his dog.
Nice. And
he turns, walks. I'm trying to tiptoe up behind him, and he sees me and takes off, and I let the leash go, and the dog, he turns around, the dog hits him in the bicep and whirly birds him. So I'm way down in the far end of the city, all by myself, and there's a ton of construction, so it's going to be a bit for anybody to get there. And so fuck it, I'm going to try it. So I'm out, come back here. He comes back, the guy goes to move, dog hits him. Out, back here, lays down, the guy had a crack in his pocket. He's trying to get to his pocket. 6 fucking times.
Jeez.
Oh my God.
He got bit. That's 6 use of force reports that I have to do. 6 separate incidents. Had I just followed my own thing, cuffed him under
Then
power,
got the dog
cuffed
off.
him, and then just popped the dog off.
Done.
The last one, the dog bit the guy through the rib cage, and you could hear that as it sunk down in there, and he was like, okay, I'm done. But he's still, after he handcuffed, still trying to get that crack out of his pocket. I'm like, dude, you just broke into your old lady's house and beat her to the hospital. You have worse problems than 3 rocks of crack in your pocket.
Yeah.
But that's the shit that happens. As soon as you would verbally out the dog, the guy's gonna he's gonna turn, and your dog's gonna hit him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes
People are like, well, you
sense.
should teach him not to do that. Fuck you.
It makes sense.
I mean, come on. The people who say that the dog should have a verbal out have no street bites.
Yeah.
I think, or very limited.
Yeah.
We have a bite a week.
Well, it's kind of like
You
the
know.
same exact people that, it shows like the guy rushing the cop with the knife. And it's like, we didn't have to shoot him. Why didn't you just tase him? It's like, you clearly have never had someone running at you with a 12-inch butcher knife before.
Right.
So it's the same concept, but with the dog.
I had to shoot a guy in 1999 on the job and shot him in the chest and killed him. And my neighbor got into a big argument with me because I should have shot him in the leg. Get the fuck out of here. Shoot you in the leg.
I think it brings up a valuable point for like scenario-based training, which is what both of these guys subscribe to and do. And we're going to be in Albany, New York in October at a big scenario-based training seminar. So shout out to Ken Stern up there with Albany County and Ed Myers, Dark Horse. But it's so important to really not always sit behind a desk and learn and talk about what you're going to do. Well, if this happens, this maybe is how I'm going to handle it, or this is how you should handle it, or because no situation is ever going to be the same. It's never going. So they really put the guys through reality-based scenarios. You're going to walk into a shit show.
And you can see what the dog's flaws and
Exactly.
loopholes and
how it's going to
learn
happen.
in a training environment.
Absolutely.
And the handlers.
Yeah, and the handlers. I mean, for instance, last year, one of the scenarios, they had a guy, a decoy, risk of suicide, was the setup, on a balcony of a hotel room. They had to find the room, and the only way to get on this little balcony was through a window. And the guy had a gun. And he had sim rounds in it. And I can't tell you how many officers came out of that fucking hotel room with pop knots on their head. Because sure as shit, they'd be like, oh, doink.
Yeah.
Right between the eyes every time. So you had all these officers coming out of that room, their eyes were this big, and they had, blue marks all over their face. And that's what makes them better.
Yeah.
Because they see it, they feel it, it happens, and they're prepared for it.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times Ted has done a scenario in training. Every Tuesday night at our facility is in-service training, so all of our officers can come out and go through our training for free.
Nice.
It offers CLEs for them, and they come with a group. But I can't tell you how many times they've done something, a dead chuck, a car extraction, a building search of some particular type. The officer goes home, sure as shit, they'll call, and they'll be like, holy shit, this just happened. You won't believe, same, I was prepared for it. My dog was prepared for it. We saw it.
Yeah. So we had one where we did this, and we were doing like a modified version of a dead check. In fact, I shared a thing on Torchlight too, where they shot a dude up in Minneapolis, St. Paul last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever. He was walking around fucking waving a gun in the air and shot at a backing officer, and dude ended up eating a bunch of AR rounds, shotgun rounds, but then the dog bit him. So anyway, and of course I posted it, and of course everybody turns into a fucking
lawyers.
Yeah, or a tactical fucking, they're like, oh, I shouldn't have done this and that and the other. I'm like, oh, fuck you guys.
Everyone turns into SEAL Team 6 operators.
Right. So, but, we do several modified versions of that. And, there's a ton of skill sets there's a ton of skills within one of those scenarios, or in that one in particular, that you work on independently. But we did one where the dog couldn't see. Like, we were standing around a corner, and the only cue that the dog had was he was looking at me and the backing officer standing there yelling at my decoy. We shoot, Josh gets shot, dies, right? And the dog is still like, the fuck is going on? Like, where am I going?
Yeah.
So we turn the corner and you still can't see the decoy at this point. So the only visual cue that the dog is given is where I've got a long gun pointed and where all the handlers and everybody is looking and moving toward, right? So the dog's like, well, fuck, must be over here. So dog takes off down the alleyway, comes over a bush and sees Josh sitting there, and just every time they nuke him. So, and we were joking, and I'm like, yeah, hopefully you guys don't have to shoot anybody. And so that night, one of my handlers goes home, and he texts me. He was like, you must be a wizard. I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like, literally, I show back up and go on, and I get a call, and I show up, and it's county and city dudes standing there fucking screaming, pointing under a deck, right? And they're like, he's under the fucking deck, and they've got the fucking guns out, and the dog's looking around, and he's like, well, shit. So, I'm not going to say the handler's name or the dog's name, but he takes the dog and it's just like, sends him under the deck. And the dog, without question, knew he 6 hours before that, he just done the exact same thing. Well, we didn't shoot anybody that day, but he had just done that. So the dog was like, yeah, everybody's looking. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to be right under here. So a guy texts me, he's like, holy shit, you must be a fucking wizard. I'm like, why? He tells me what happened. I'm like, well, that's why we do it. So the joke now is every time they say it, like, when am I going to have to do this? I'm like, next time you're working.
Exactly.
So
yeah. My mindset for the scenario stuff comes from when I got into the unit in 2005, and I picked a female shepherd for me. I don't know what the fuck I was looking for. I went down to this place and got this dog, and she did really well on the field. Real good at training. Probably should have just done Schutzen with her. I worked her for 3 years on the road and had 0 bites. I had the first year 14 that I should have had. I ended up tasing those 14 people, and there's probably 4 or 5 more that got away. Every year, 20 people she should have bit. It was not biting. And to me, it put my life in danger. And it was never addressed and never fixed. Yeah. And when my second dog I got, he had ended up with like 150 bites. between me and another handler that had him right before me. And when I took over, I vowed to my guys, I will never, ever put you in a situation where I can't sleep. If I went home at night knowing that one of my guys is out there working with a dog, who's not going to do it? Now, we have guys that come from some other agencies that their dogs have worried me, and I've told them so.
Yeah.
And we do our best. I had one dog, this female shepherd, that I was like, man, I don't think she's going to do it. And she proved me wrong. And I haven't been proved wrong as far as that goes in too long. And she did. She bit a guy that I was shocked about. But it bore fruit. The way I train with the dogs, like when we're doing building searches, I train the guy and the dog, if they have to work separately.
Yeah.
Right? Go in and work. He's going to clear this corner. You're going to clear that corner. Don't worry about what the fuck he's doing. He's going to do his thing. Because it's a thing in police work where at training, you send your dog and the handler just runs after them. Or the guy goes in the bite and the handler just runs in there. And we get lackadaisical on that. So I'm trying to get the guys to learn to move. Fuck him. Leave him on the bite for a little bit. We're going to clear him, make sure his buddies aren't over here.
Yeah.
And then in January of 16, a handler of mine, Ryan, and his dog Jethro go search a grocery store. And they finally find the last room. They go in, and he can tell right away the guy's in there the way the dog's acting. The dog went one way. Ryan went the other way. The guy was laying in wait for Ryan, and he killed the dog.
Damn.
But that would have been Ryan.
Yeah.
For sure. Had he been trained to just follow his dog around. Had he never been trained any other way. And there's a lot of people that are doing it. The training days for a lot of places are just a reason to not be at work, not be on the shift.
What's interesting is, I don't even know if you guys know, but at the end of this month, August 31st, September 1st, September 2nd, the last Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this month, I have Paul Ludwig and San Edmonds coming out.
Guys.
Yeah, they're coming out,
Good
actually
dudes.
staying at my house to do a private seminar for our trainers on scenario-based training and all the things literally that we're talking about. So that's at the end of this month. So if you guys want to come out, let me
Paul
know.
and I have a very similar story, except for he had to kill a guy because his dog didn't engage.
Correct.
I just had to tase a bunch of guys, and things got real sketchy with that dog. She was great. She lived to be like 14 years old. Was a great pet.
Yeah.
The only person she ever bit was my daughter. Bit her twice. Pretty good too.
Jeez.
But I can't. I don't know how guys can live with themselves. I really don't.
Yeah.
I think it's so fascinating and intriguing what you guys do. I can't imagine the stress related to it, because I mean it's a lot of pressure. You're putting these dogs out to protect literally lives day in, day out. So I by the way, I think the warehouse is beautiful, because I was telling Ted that I wanted to come hang with you guys one day and just watch them work.
The lockers are amazing.
The
You should see
decor
the
in
bathroom.
the decor in the warehouse is phenomenal. So
Early industrial shit show is what I was going for.
Right. I don't know if you guys
Nailed
saw
it.
videos. I did a bunch of training at a haunted house,
Nice.
and had all kinds of weird, figurines, and that people were like, I would picture Ted living there,
There's
but his place.
there's a mannequin store in Tulsa.
Creepy.
And it's nothing but
It's like Annabelle.
Oh, it is 3 stories of bodies and heads. Like that's all it is. Like they say that they have like other fixtures. I don't know. I've never seen. It's just literally thousands of mannequins, and I've always wanted to do a training in there because it is.
that would be cool.
It's
That'd be
an
interesting.
old, and it's like an old milk factory or something. But they've got like vaults and just 3 stories of hundreds of dummies stuffed in.
By the way, I feel like every haunted movie ever made is based out of Oklahoma.
pretty much. Yeah.
Like is
Yeah,
it?
like
is
we're
it-
nothing but serial killers and.
Is
and-
that? I mean that.
Yeah, it's true.
That state has a little bit of a
Has some
eerie
problems,
feeling
yeah.
to it.
Yeah, Oklahoma is.
It's pretty hot too right now, right?
Oh fuck! It's everyone. Yeah, everybody's. People are like, "Oh man, it's so hot here." Like here, I'm like, nah. No, I think when I don't know a couple days ago. I mean, it was. I don't know. Heat index was near 120 something. I mean, it's ridiculous.
How's that? What's the difference you see in the workability of the dogs like now versus in like December? Do you see a huge difference?
Yeah, I mean, they have to be acclimated. The dogs, 90% of our police dogs live outside, like in concrete runs, but they're in shade. They got lots of water, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
So they're acclimated to it, but, I mean, you still, you still have to watch them like super close. And I mean, we can't just fucking drive them into the ground. And you know, when it's super hot like that, I mean, you can do, I don't know, 5 to 6 minutes of detection work, and then you know, their head, then they're not doing anything because they're fucking panting, their tongues hang out of their head, and I mean, so you know, it's same thing with tracking. And I mean, if you do like a super long track, I mean, they're nuked. I mean, like bites, do 2 or 3 bites at a time, and then put them up, put them in the air conditioning, or go and put them in the shade. We have the little mister things that are on top of the kennels, so I mean, and it stays relatively cool in the kennels, but it's still, I mean, when you know, it's 110 and the heat index is like, you know, 80% or whatever the fuck it is. I mean, it's still just hot. I mean,
You're just miserable.
There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it is what it is. So, but, you know, they have to work in that environment. So we try and but we watch them super close. And, you know, like Jamie and Cindy, my kennel techs, both know how to identify, like, you know, heat stress. They both know how to identify, like, blow. They know to identify the shit that normally happens. In fact, we had a German Shepherd almost die like a month ago from bloat. Jamie brought him down. I was like, what the fuck's wrong with him? And I mean, we took him straight to the vet, and they were able to save him.
Nice.
But I mean, I mean, they have to work. They have to do it. I mean, they're going to be.
You got to
working.
be aware of. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
the funny thing is, you talk about December. You know, up in Ohio, it's fucking cold. And probably Oklahoma is just the same. It isn't the dogs that are the problem in the winter.
Oh yeah.
Oh hell no.
It is not the
handlers.
dogs. Yes. So like when it's 20 below zero, I make them go track.
Yeah.
Now it might only be
A short track.
50 yards, and it's fucking miserable. And
I'd be one of those people.
but here's the
gotta
key.
play.
But here's the key.
bad.
I'm not sitting in my fucking car.
Yeah.
I'm standing out there with them.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. I lay the tracks, so
Yeah.
I'm out there right with you.
Good for you.
I never have them do something that I'm not doing. I don't. If it's raining and we're going to train in the rain, I'm in the rain, and that's a big key. That I see a lot of. It's an older guy thing. A lot of older dudes.
Really,
This
really older.
motherfucker.
One of the videos that lab, right? Is that you guys' yellow lab?
The new one, Cruz.
Yeah.
He,
I like that dog.
man, he and we don't do rescue to. We don't. I mean, that I know it's a happy feel good story. I love it. Like, yeah, we got a rescue and now it's saved children from a burning building, and it didn't bite them like the pit bull. But
Here it comes
like
again.
Did you like that?
Get ready for that inbox message.
Yeah,
Yep.
like that. Come get me, Terry.
Inbox of the dog
But
show
like
with Nick and Joe.
you know, it's a happy feel good story. But the reality is that's, you know.
So was that a rescue?
Yeah.
Oh
is.
shit! I didn't know that.
Because you know, genetically, you look for like these genetics, and you want exactly what makes a good dog, so that you don't have habits to unlearn all these things. But there's an organization out in Oklahoma called Ground Zero. That's like the baby of Becky and Barry Switzer, the football coach. I don't know if anyone knows that, but anyway, there's this awesome guy, Daryl Wilkerson, that is a SAR ninja, right? So he'll go out and he'll evaluate some of these rescue dogs, and then if he can't use them, he'll call us, and he'll be like, he called me. It's been a few weeks now, and he was like, "Man, there is this badass lab at TAW, Tulsa Animal Welfare," and he's like, we can't use him, but I'm telling you, like, he's good. And I was like, okay, well, let's go out and evaluate him. Sure as shit, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
beast.
he is a big, solid, drivey, like, he's a Malinois in the wrong paint job. Like, he's just. And,
I love that tail. In the
oh
videos.
my god, he just that's all he cares about. He's not really affectionate. He's not really. I mean, he just wants to
Let
work.
me work.
Like
Yeah.
Alicia.
Exactly. Yeah.
No
It's
affection, no emotion.
No affection, all work. So that's it.
We actually, I don't know if you guys saw, but literally, why we were a few minutes late to here is I took JJ to the Prince William Humane Society. I was eval in this pit bull, oddly enough, for them, and it's a legit fucking pit bull. Like, even JJ, like, we took a bunch of videos. Like, we're hiding the ball. His hunt drives, like, he only cares about the ball and the tug.
That's
like,
awesome.
You got to watch the video. Like, JJ, like, there's a guy riding lawn mowing. JJ's like has him on the tug, like shoves him like right by the riding lawnmower, doesn't give a shit. We're passing other dogs. We have this little chihuahua that's brought out. This chihuahua's literally like ground in his face. He's like, screw off. I just want, like, doesn't care about anything. Like, I'm trying to find him like a legit, like a detection hog, 'cause he's a fucking
don't
legit-
waste his abilities.
Yeah, he's a 2-year-old pit bull, and like super like you'll see in the videos, JJ's like picking him up, grabbing his paws, grabbing his tail, like manipulating him, like
That's
doesn't
awesome.
give a shit. He's like, just give me the ball. That's all I want. And so we're trying to work with them to find him a place to go other than a house.
Very cool.
There's a lady in Indiana who, that's what she does, is goes and finds pit bulls at rescues and then sends them to some guy in Washington State.
Are you talking about the Throwaway Dog Project?
Yeah, I don't know if that's what it is.
Carol,
She
by chance?
no. She's in Elkhart, Indiana. She'll find them amongst all her other labs and things she has. Some guy in Washington State has placed tons of them to work, tons of them.
Oh yeah.
And one of the best dogs I ever screened for a hunt drive was a pit. But the thing is, in Ohio, there isn't a market for them. There's nothing I can do.
I mean, so contrary to Alicia's popular belief, they don't just bite kids. We're just gonna throw.
Yes, right. So
Working Dog Radio.
Hates pit bulls.
So because this is a dual episode, I'd like to flip it around a little bit and talk to you guys.
Sure.
If that's cool. You cool with that? Because I'm always fascinated by guys that like are real super successful in the pet side that you guys do, because you know a fuckload about training dogs, a lot more stuff than I do. I'm really good at teaching dogs to do things, not as good as teaching them to not do something.
Yeah.
Sure.
But besides, I mean, it's tedium, a lot of the obedience, but what do you really get off on in the pet thing? Like, what is that one thing that you're like, man, I just fucking love that?
Yeah, for me, literally one of my favorite things, because we actually get this a lot, kind of like this pit bull story, is we get, like you said like earlier about like the pressure, like we literally will get people that call or email and is like, my dog did this, like it bit a person, bit a kid, whatever, and we've tried everything and we've heard good things about you, but if this doesn't work, like we got to get rid of them. Like this is the last. I actually got an email literally on the way here, I can pull up, about after we did the training. She was sending a thank you letter. But to me, like that's the best ones, is when they're like, if you can't fix this, we got to get rid of this dog. And then, because we all know what happens, if you get rid of that dog and take it to the shelter, you're putting a dog in even a shittier environment. And now if someone gets them, they're just going to have the same exact problems that you had. And then the cycle is going to continue. The dog will probably end up getting put down. So for me personally, like that's my favorite thing, is when it's like the worst case scenario dog that's like, if you can't help us with this, we got to get rid of the dog, and we have the ability to help them with that. And that's why I work with the Humane Society a lot, to try to get dogs like this pit. And that's the problem with the pit is they called me, the president, Lori Leary of the Humane Society, is like, I want you to come down and check out this dog, because we can't put it in a normal home. It's just, and the dog's fine. It's just, imagine a Malinois on a pit bull body. She's like, we've had a few couples come up, and it's, as they're walking out on the leash, to like, oh, take them out. Like it's jumping up, playing tug on the leash, jumping on them. They're trying to throw the ball. It's snatching the ball out of their hand, and it just can't go to a house, essentially. So she's like, if we can't find a place for it, it's a pit bull. You kind of know the rest of the story that's going to happen. And then I show up, and I'm like, it's one of the best pit bulls I've ever seen in my life. Like I told him, I'm like, if this dog gets put down, like I will be upset. Like no one has put this dog down without talking to me. And I took JJ down, and he agreed. So that's one of my favorite things. It's like when the dog's right there on the line, like a make or break, and it kind of sucks because they're putting a lot of pressure on you. But then when you can bring it back and give them, like the email I got this morning is like, thank you so much. My dog's so amazing, and we love him so much more. And like one of the lines I love is, they say like, it used to complicate our life, now it compliments us. We used to have to leave him at home because he sucked everywhere we went. It was, he made our life worse, and now we love taking him to parks, and we take him on vacation now. And so it truly gets the dog part of the family now, versus like, all right, well, we got to throw him in the crate, people's coming over. We got to lock him in the room while we go do this. So for me, that's what I personally enjoy out of it, is when you take him from like, I can't deal with this fucking dog anymore, to I love this dog and he's a part of the family now.
Yeah.
Joe?
No, I would obviously agree with that. That's a huge part of the pet world, is specifically the ones that do the behavioral modification and stuff. It's a huge rewarding benefit for us to see. We see that transition. for me personally, I love the fact that no matter what's going on, right? It could be the shittiest day ever. Maybe, you got a flat tire on your way to the house, or
truck got stuck in 6 foot of mud.
Yes,
anything.
Yeah.
Dog shit in a crate.
But it
in
could,
your hotel.
It could just be one of those days, we've all had them, where you just wake up on the wrong side of the bed and it's just a shitty day, right? I can take a dog out to my backyard, or to a park, and just work basic obedience commands with that dog, and everything's all better. For me, that dog at that moment teaches me more about myself than I could learn any other way. So we're learning off of each other, and it brings me to my happy place. I've said that before, you know what I mean? And it, because it's pets, we're seeing dog after dog after dog after dog, and it doesn't change.
And the problems widely vary.
Yeah,
as well.
it really doesn't change.
I think that's a big difference in the working dog world. We'll have this dog super dog aggressive. This dog has super high separation anxiety. This dog's super nervy. This dog has, wasn't socialized. Like, there's so many
get rid
problems.
of
them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's why I said that's where a big difference is we have such a big variable. And I do a lot of, as Joe will know, for our trainers, I do a lot of videos on a wide variety of things like dog safety and kenneling and all these things. And a video I did, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago that Joe loved was called Always Give the Dog 100%.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, one of my favorite videos of the ones I've done for people is, and what I tell all the trainers, kind of what Joe said is, if you have a bad day, like you're fighting with a leash or you're fighting with your wife or just whatever, when you show up, like, the dog doesn't give a fuck. Like, so what I tell them is, like, you owe the dog everything. The dog doesn't owe you nothing. What I tell all of our new trainers, Joe will tell you, I say, anytime you get a new dog, what you need to remember is you chose to train that dog. That dog did not choose to train with you. So you're the only one that owes anything out of this situation. You owe the dog 100%. That dog doesn't owe you a fucking thing. So he didn't choose to be there. You chose for him to be with you, though. So that's, like Joe said, it kind of brings me out of that if you're having a bad day, like, I will make a conscious effort to be like, I slept like shit. Dog doesn't care, though.
Yeah.
I'm fighting with the girlfriend. Dog doesn't care, though. And you have to make a conscious effort sometimes to give them 100% despite what you have going on.
And somebody I really look up to as well in the pet side of the industry, Larry Crone, I think Nick looks up to as well. Yeah. He says the same. Actually, he posted something very similar to it yesterday, where the dog has an ability to completely change your day, no matter what's going on. I really also enjoy watching other trainers and learning from other trainers. Yeah. And as crazy as it sounds, the way they teach heel or the way they teach down, because there's so many different ways to do it, and watching them be at peace training a dog, and you can't deny, one thing you can't deny, I think, in both of our industries is passion, right? If you're not passionate about it, you're not going to last. Yeah. It's just one of those things. You have to have the passion.
It's a lifestyle.
Because it is absolutely a lifestyle, and man, I try my hardest to wake up every day and be thankful, for the opportunity. It's pretty incredible.
So do you still feel the 14-day pressure, or are you like, I got this?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like the day that I say I got this is the day I should retire.
I still feel the 5-day pressure sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now all the seminars I've done for the last 2 years, all the training I'm doing 5-day training seminars. So I still, I just did Mia Khalifa's super nervy, under social, zero confidence little dog, and I was like, 5 days with this dog, and I was feeling the pressure, but I got it done. But that dog made me feel like it wasn't long enough. But
yeah, because I've seen off leash or other trainers that have a dog that they couldn't touch for the first 6 days. Oh, and you still
Sean, the show producer here, had a case very similar to that, to where a lady from Minnesota,
The shepherd
drove 4 of her aggressive shepherds down, and they were pretty batshit crazy. And Sean literally like just sat next to those dogs outside of the kennels, just trying to earn their trust for days before he was able to work them, like and build that trust. And it really, for me as an outsider looking in, and I worked with those dogs a little bit after Sean did the hard work. It was really awesome watching, and observing that that bond that had to be built. There's no other way around it.
Yeah, he's like, if you touch me right now, I will fucking
no
bite
shortcuts. You got to build that bond with those dogs, and so yeah, that's.
And you still just have 2 weeks.
Well, for them, because it was 4 of them in the same household, and none of them really got along with each other.
Wow.
That was a 4-week project.
Allie, if you're listening, you can have that. I don't want to fuck with that.
That was a 4-week project. Yeah, so the 4 didn't get along with each other. There was also a few of them, 2 or 3 of them, that were highly aggressive toward people. So we were kind of battling 2 separate things at once. Super smart dogs. They picked up the commands really, really quick once we were able to get to that point to teach
as
them.
Joe and I always say, like, those are the dogs that I feel like genuinely make us better trainers, though. Because it's easy to take the 6-month-old German Shepherd, Golden Retriever, Lab, and say, oh, good boy, break. Like, you really don't. It really doesn't press you at all from a training perspective. It's like, I say it, dog does it. He wants to do it. He's happy. He loves attention. It's the aggressive or like the super, like, like we always kind of joke, like the Shiba Inus that are like super independent and could give a fuck less about and give a fuck less about attention or affection, or you can give 100%, break, good boy, and they're like, psh, walk away the other way. But it's those dogs that I truly feel like makes me become a better trainer, as dealing with those. They're not the most fun to deal with, as you know, but I feel like they're what makes you a better trainer.
What
I would say, real quick, not to cut you off, but I would say what we do is nowhere near as badass as what you guys do. I think what you guys
cool
do
looking
is super fucking cool. And to be honest with you, like, Ted, you don't realize this, but I watch every single one of your videos, and I literally watch them over and over.
A fanboy earlier?
I did. I am a fanboy, but I really do, and I study them. And it's not because I want to do what you're doing; it's because I find it so intriguing how you're talking to the dog without saying a fucking word, which is exactly what we do, and it's just a different language that you're talking. And so when I study these videos, like that last one where I was joking about your hair and stuff, like I watched that probably 15 times trying to figure out what was going on in that video. And then it clicked, and I was like, oh, okay.
I love reading the comments, because that's where I learn a lot. Because people say, like, I mean, when you're talking about, like, I think, like, twitching your arm.
Yeah.
To make it, like, kind of come, like, small things like that.
Incredible.
I feel, because I've always said, I don't, like, when it comes to decoying, like, out of detection, tracking, it'll be all that. Like, decoying is what I'm the shittiest at. Like, I would not train a dog to let it go with a police department or go to Iraq with MARSOC. Like, my dog would probably get someone killed. So I've said that many times. It's not my area of expertise.
I tell you what, when it comes to decoy, Ted and I talk about this a lot. There's a lot of videos that people post online, decoy work, and decoying is where all the fighting is on fucking social media anymore. There's a lot of videos of the long sends, right? The long, all this other stuff. You will rarely see Ted and I in those videos.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I see him like tied like with a 6-foot leash.
Right.
I've never seen it.
You'll see us building that dog at a short distance.
Yeah.
You could easily learn to do that. Easily learn to do that part. It's not all about like what Cody does. I'm 49 years old. I can't do it. I can't move like Cody does anymore. And I frankly have dogs that come through that I don't want to fucking catch them from 100 feet. I don't. We did a whole scientific study in my field with drones and sensors and all this other shit, and we were finding from a dead stop to 30 feet, the dogs were getting about 36, 37 miles an hour. So that fucking sucks.
80-pound mouth.
I mean, it's cool, but dude, it wears on you, especially when you're trying to train a recall and the dog's breaking the recall.
Sure.
Yeah. You're like, fuck, man, over and over and over, where it's spinning you and you're getting a concussion and you're hitting your head on the ground and everything. But what Ted and I are, and I tell everybody, I'm like like the closer. Like I'll do the beginning stuff, and I have other people help me with some of the longer stuff.
In
the end, I'm back in there teaching this dog to push and push and push and
Tighten
be a street
up, yeah.
machine, and that's what you'll see him and I do. So you could easily, that stuff you could easily learn. With the only injury you really get is, I mean,
bruises.
it hurts, and then you catch a hand every once in a while if you get sloppy. But that's definitely some things you could be taught real easy, and because then the trainer can stand there with you and teach you rather than I'm not fucking standing next to you when the dog's coming because I don't know if he's gonna look at you or look at me.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Hey, you should have done this.
Right. Right.
That type of shit from a distance. So
I'm a huge student in the game, and that's why I
yeah, and everybody kind of does it differently, and I don't know, in our side of the industry, or in like the canine side, targeting and grip is extremely important. I hear master fucking trainers, guys that have been canine handlers for 20 something years, saying grip doesn't matter, targeting doesn't matter. And I'm like, you've been a cop for 30 years, dude. You've been a canine handler for 20. And I was like, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, do you not fucking read case law? Do you not give a shit? Like, or I mean, do you not know, or do you just not care? Like, I kind of want to know.
Right.
And so I think when I posted that video, I think what I said was, the only thing I said was subtlety. Because I mean, and the reason I even started doing all the videos is so I could watch myself. Like, so I could watch what I'm doing.
Oh, sure.
And this one, Alicia's like, you need to be posting these. I'm like, nobody wants to see this shit. I was wrong. So, there was a lot going on in that video, and what you're seeing is a very green dog learning how to create the behavior that he wants to do and learning how to bite correctly. So he's learning targeting, he's learning proper grip, he's learning all these other things that he didn't know how to do. I mean, that dog's not that old. He's a little Dutchie. He's, I don't know, how old is that dog? Like 14 months old? I mean, he's still a puppy. He's maturing, but I mean, and there's 3 qualities that I always look for in a grip, and that's what he's learning to do. And, that's not it typically is not genetic a lot of the times, and it is a learned behavior, and it has to be maintained. And so, yeah, like you said, like where I'm like popping my hand, like creating some back time. There's a ton of things going on there, like where I'm creating opposition both directions, and I'm creating prey, and I'm stopping prey, and there's any number of things that are happening all at once. And like Eric says, I mean, that dog, the long sends for law enforcement work. And I know it happens because we do the popper exercises and all that stuff, which is a whole other topic altogether. But rarely are you going to send your dog like over the curve of the fucking earth, right? I mean, so far that you can't fucking see them, right? I mean, so most of the bites you get are people that are passive. Yeah. You either track up on them, you give them the announcement, send the dog under a bush, under a trailer, under whatever, send the dog into a house, and they bite somebody just standing there waiting.
Sure.
Yeah. And, sometimes they're running away from you. Those are fucking easy, though, because they're just, prey. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, you get the guy that does turn and fucks like, you know what, I'm going to fight this dog today. So, and that's where, Eric, I guess you guys just had one where somebody asked to get bit or something.
Yeah. Send that dog. I'm ready. He was not ready.
He wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready.
No.
Look, guys, we are creeping. We've gone a little bit over. I don't want to run out, so I don't want people to listen to the show and then all of a sudden we're done. So I want to thank you guys. I think what you guys do is extremely incredible. I absolutely love working dog radio. It teaches me as someone very green and to that side. It teaches me a lot. Who you guys interview and all that. What do you have? Anything you want to talk about that's coming up that you want to announce, or shout outs or plugs or anything that?
Yeah, we got October.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, well, we're here for hits, so we're gonna go up there and hang out for the next 3 days with a lot of our sponsors. So, Doctor's gonna be there, and Southern Coast K9, is going to be there. If you guys haven't met Bill Heiser,
Yeah.
I mean, he is
I actually went to a course
Oh.
about 2 years ago.
a legend
Yep.
in this industry. We're going to get to see the Tripwire guys.
Awesome.
K9's going to be there. Highland's going to be there. Don't drink with those guys. Just don't.
Don't drink with Island.
Then we've got October. We're going to be in Albany. It is law enforcement, and it's a hands-on seminar for 3 days, just absolutely getting wrecked.
Sure.
You know, everybody brings their A game, everybody sets their ego aside, and everybody works their ass off. And then at the end of the night, we eat and drink and do a lot of cool stuff. And then in February, we're going to be in Daytona, actually at Heiser's place, for the Bravo 3 conference.
Very cool.
And again, it's going to be a learning conference, which is really important. So people are going to be able to bring their dogs. We're going to have scenario work. These two are instructing.
Nice.
So I think that's really cool.
I ain't taking no long bites, so you fuckers forget that.
No,
now.
He's saying it.
I'll probably be the oldest dude there. So.
Well, saying
Eric
it now.
will be running all weekend. But then we've got some really cool things that we're doing right now with the podcast. We're starting to work on some Patreon stuff, which we're going to be talking about soon. We're going to be doing some live video stuff. We've got a really cool Mevo camera that we're super stoked about.
Awesome.
Mevo, if you'd like to sponsor us, call me. You know, so we've got some really cool things coming
Good.
up, and I'm really appreciative that you guys had us on. Like, I think it's really rad. I get this all the time, like, it's another dog podcast, isn't it? Isn't it competition? And I'm like, holy shit, no. It's like
None of
it's
us
like
are
a
getting
TV
rich
show.
off podcasts. Trust me. Trust me.
This is my retirement plan.
Our sponsors are pretty much just paying our
Electric bill, really.
Yeah,
Well,
or-
your
First of
storage
all,
fees.
Yeah.
This makes it look like you guys are all professional and shit.
Well,
and
thank
it's
you.
Awesome. Like, it's really
That credit due
beautiful
to
in
Sean
here.
on that one.
We started
Very
in my
nice.
office at my house.
Yeah,
So it's
that lasted
developed.
one episode.
Yeah, it's developed since then.
Love it. Like, it's awesome. It makes me feel like I'm literally like stapling egg cartons to our wall.
Oh, don't get it
Right?
confused.
Like,
Those are stapled.
like shit is very rudimentary. But we kind of what you talked about is you get a sponsor, we use that
Yes.
to buy better equipment,
Yep.
not pay ourselves. We're not-
Absolutely.
this isn't paying the bills. We're
Yeah, we've
getting
never
these
made a
guys.
dime.
So yeah, same here. And I think that's awesome.
And I
love this.
think you guys actually got into, because we both of the shows started
Right
pretty
around
close
the same
to
time.
around
I
the
think
same
so.
time.
Yeah.
Several
And I
weeks.
would have to assume you guys kind of got into it for the same reason we got into it, was broadcasting the bite.
Yep.
You know, we're broadcasting the pet side and interviews with the bite, you know. So it's an informative thing that was needed
Yep.
on both ends of the spectrum. And I think folks appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. We get this positive feedback. You know, thanks so much. I learned this, or now I'm doing this in training, or you know, it's really cool
For sure.
to see that, and to see, you know, men in this industry. This is a very prideful, very ego-driven industry, right? Like
No, come on.
You're dealing with men, you're dealing with law enforcement and military, but to have them reach out and go, man, I really learned something.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah,
It's really
absolutely.
cool. And you know, Ted came up with it. Ted, it was his idea. He was like, you know what I think we need to do? We need to do a podcast. I was like, oh, because we have so much time in our life, we should open another.
We thought the same
Yeah.
thing.
But these two talked about it and planned it and came up with lists of who they wanted on and why and what they wanted to talk to. And then one day it was just like, okay, just go. Let's do it. And
Kick
jump
ass.
in with both feet. So
Awesome. Eric?
Yeah, I get people. The one cool thing about the podcast, and it's got a little bit more popularity on my Instagram page, Van S K9 is where I do most of my stuff. But I get people that will message me. I will answer any question. If you're a police dog handler and you got problems, you want ideas, you want, you know, pick my brain, I'll give you my phone number, call me, I'll talk to you. You know, it probably irritates my wife and everything, but I get 300 to 400 messages a day. I answer every single one of them, and I will talk to anybody who wants to call me, unless you're a fuckhead. Then don't call me.
No fuckheads.
No fuckheads.
That's Eric's
Respect
number one
the
rule.
rule.
His only rule, no
that
fuckheads.
counts me out.
Right, yeah.
Sorry,
Delecia does not
Alicia.
have my phone number.
Nick, anything going on with you?
As I said earlier, the end of this month, August 31st, September 1st, September 2nd, we have the K9 Guardian Seminar in
Super
Virginia.
stoked
Paul
about
Ludwig,
that.
Sam Edmonds. We're really excited. If you guys are bored and free, feel free to come out.
I have 2 board and trains that week. I can't.
Sounds like us.
And actually, the end of this month, I'm actually going to Amarillo, Texas, with JJ from Proving K9 Training to do a hunt down there. So we're doing a 3-day hunt together. And then after that, I have a private seminar for a family in New Zealand. And then after that, I have a private seminar for a family in Singapore. And that puts me till end of September. And that's
awesome.
it.
Awesome.
Ted just changed his mind about doing pets. Just now.
Yeah. Fuck, I want to go to New Zealand. Yeah. All right, cool, guys. I really appreciate you guys coming on. Any last minute?
Working Dog Dry Goods. If you want to see some amazing muzzles or want a custom muzzle, check them out for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it.
Torchlight K9.
Yeah, Torchlight.
If you need your like Chihuahua, healing, anything like that.
And for those, whether you downloaded this on Dog Show or Working Dog Radio, do me a favor and please head over to the other one and just hit the subscribe button. That's what keeps all of us going at this table, our subscribers and downloads. So without that, we don't feel the love. We don't, and eventually it goes away. So we appreciate the love for downloads and subscribers. Thank you, Sean, as usual, for hitting the boards and getting all this together for us today. Appreciate you as always. And we will see you guys next week or the week after. We don't know.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Craziest fucker that you ever seen.
How come we don't have a badass song like that?
Yeah, I'm a crazy motherfucker walking up your street.
Welcome to Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite.